We've got Jolinda Johnson. Welcome, my darling. Welcome here.
Hi,
Hi, darling. Thank you for being here. So beautiful and purple. I'm just going to take a minute to introduce Jolinda Johnson to you. Jolinda Johnson is an award-winning certified life coach and holistic health coach who specializes in burnout and perimenopause. She's obsessed with helping change makers and revolutionaries get back their spark so they can go set the world on fire. She wants to change the narrative around perimenopause and give attention to the voices that are typically left out of the conversation, including Black, Indigenous, people of color, the LGBTQIA+, and people under 45. She's a sought after guest on podcasts and has been featured on the cover of Inspired Coach magazine and was the recipient of the Beautiful You Coaching Academy CEO Shine Award in 2021. She's also taken the stage as a motivational speaker for other life coaches and can be found on the popular website Healthline. Beautiful, and a soon to be author as well, which is very exciting. Welcome, darling. Welcome. Thank you for being here. So, Jolinda and I have been working together for a little while, and she's very kindly taken her precious time to come and share a little bit about her story with us. So, thank you and welcome, darling. So,
thank you.
I would love you to share a little bit about kind of where were you at before we started working together, before you came into the mastermind. Tell us a little bit about what was going on for you then.
Things were good, but they weren't magnificent. And I always say that I'm not here to settle for good. And just like you were mentioning, new level, new devil. I mean, what I had when I entered the mastermind was my wildest dream 5 years ago. But then you get to a point where it's like, okay, I know I'm ready for something new, to expand a little more, receive a little more. And I was really feeling those niggles, but also knew that I needed support so that I didn't fall back into old patterns and the attacks on expansion that a lot of us experience when we do really lean into the desires of our higher self and our most abundant self, and tell the ego to kind of sit down for a minute. So I was really looking for a community.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think you're smart. I think, people like you have realized that support is so powerful, right? That you just know now you need to invest in being held and amazing things happen. That's what I know now too. Not everyone does. And so it's just important to remember that. So, and tell us where were you sitting at this point in the wealth retreat? Or I think you did the manifestation challenge. What was going through your mind as you were kind of in that choice point?
Well, I don't know if anyone else on the call is familiar with sacred money archetypes, but I'm a romantic. And so I really follow my intuition and my feeling. Like the energy has to be there. And I knew from the first time that I saw you on Instagram, I knew nothing about you, but there was this immediate hit of, you need to talk to her. You need to find out what she's about. And so I had already made up my mind to join after the first day, I think. I went through the rest of the days, of course, but it was already, I don't remember when we actually sat down and had our discovery call, but I feel like it was before the end of the retreat, because I've learned that when my body says yes, when my intuition says go, then whether or not it makes sense to my logical mind is irrelevant because it's meant for me. And I just really felt incredibly comfortable with you and your philosophy and your values and the people that you also have supported, that I could see, their glowing testimonials of you, and that's always important. So I really felt at ease from the moment we met, and I trusted that.
Oh, I'm so delighted to hear that. That's touching my heart. Thank you. And I'd love you to share, if you, whatever you feel like sharing with us, some of the things that have happened, that can be like what has manifested for you since we started working together, or some of the inner shifts you feel like sharing. I think it's quite nice to have a little bit of both, because the inner game is, I think, the most profound and important. But what would you
Yeah.
like to share that's happened for you since you've entered the space?
Well, in terms of inner shifts, I think the most important is that I'm no longer afraid of money. And I just see the possibilities when it comes to money. I don't count myself out as a default response when I see something that I really want or want to do or want to experience that has a price tag that feels like it's out of my means. I no longer feel like anything's out of my means. It's just a matter of what do I need to shift? What do I need to prioritize? It's like I can have whatever I want. It's just a matter of expanding a little more, receiving a little more, accepting help as well, and not judging where that money is coming from, because I think that's something that we also tend to do. Like, well, if it's not coming from that place, then I'm going to reject it.
Yeah.
I have had more money go through my bank account since we started working together than I ever have. Until we started working together, I'd never seen 5 figures in my bank account at one time. And that happened in July. So that was a new experience. And yeah, I got rid of a relationship that was no longer serving me, but with such clarity and just like, this is no longer in alignment, and just boom, I think that's the other thing that's interesting is when you do fall into alignment with everything and you do step into that new wealth frequency, anything that's not in alignment is just going to go, and you just let it because you can recognize what's happening. It's like, this is not serving me. And it's okay. And because you have the support of the group, you can come and say, well, this has left, this has changed, and I'm celebrating it, or, I'm ready to be witnessed for it, and it doesn't feel so scary. And it certainly doesn't feel shameful, because you have other beautiful human beings who are there cheering you on and supporting you.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah. And so brave, and it's so amazing, like what sort of when you've been so brave to let go, because sometimes in those moments, right, it's not fun, right in the thick of that moment, that grief, that loss, that pain of letting go, and then you're like powerful manifester, you are, Jolinda. It's really, really amazing what sort of kind of lands in for you. Do you want to share anything that's kind of else that's landed in? It's up to you.
Oh, do you remember the ring?
Yeah, I was gonna say the ring was the best. That was the most fun. Yeah.
Well, actually, there's another ring. I don't know if you can see this ring. This is a new ring. So this is typical of me. I bought 2 rings for myself in Doha as I was traveling to Australia last month. And both of them lost a small diamond. I mean, very small diamonds, but I can't wear anything that's, missing something. It just energetically feels wrong. So I called a place here in Barcelona where I'm based, and they said, oh, we only work with manufacturers and, actual artists, but I have someone you can call in another neighborhood. So I called them, and it was the most beautiful, she's an artist. She designs everything. It's all ethically sourced jewelry, and it's all for women who are ready to shine in the world and want everyday pieces that make them, basically connect them with their luminosity. And I just happened to stumble upon this little jewelry store. And so she's fixing my rings. But just as I was about to walk out, I saw a photo of this ring. And I said, do you have that in the store? She said, yeah, it's over there by the window. And of course, it was my size. And I said, does it have a name? And she said, Pegasus. And that day I have a Labradorite Pegasus necklace that I was wearing. I was like, okay, this is for me. Now, if this had been before working with you and I had heard the price, I would have thought, okay, well, no. So in other words, like, you put in this, like, the whole day had been leading me to this piece of jewelry. And I feel like jewelry is very sacred and special, and you have to develop a relationship with it. But everything had been leading me to this piece of jewelry. All I had to do was say yes. I had the money, but it just felt a bit like, okay, so am I going to lean into this? Or am I going to say, no, like, that's too much. And I like, nope, I'm going to get it because it's meant for me and everything will fall into place because that's like, that's what happens. I keep saying yes and everything falls into place. So that happened with a different piece of jewelry, which is what we were referring to earlier. But it really goes back to this, follow the energy, follow the signs, say yes to yourself, and then watch what happens next.
Yeah, amazing. And I also just wanted to thank you for that because you were like, Lara, what do we do? We want to manifest something really fast, right?
Yeah.
The diamond jaguar ring.
Yeah.
And and that totally activated me because I'm always wanting to hold people in there, make them feel safe and like give it space, lots of trauma. And then actually it was like, you know what, I know how to manifest really fast, like bada bing, bada boom, ba-choom. And then like the next day you had on your ring.
Yeah.
I was like, oh yeah. So it
Yeah.
was just that was such an amazing, exciting story. And anyway, there's lots of fun and it's very brave and you're stepping into new levels. Is there anything else you want to tell us about that's landing in for you? That's
Um, the,
manifesting.
yeah, I mean, I'm having a lot of fun with a new person in my life who is like basically made to measure. Like, how did you appear? I had really specific, I was like, I'm not getting involved with anyone unless, and then this person landed literally in my backyard. Um,
It's
so
amazing.
that's something that's happening. I have I have such a clear vision for my business going forward. I had to really I've had my business for 6 years now, but this is the first time where I feel like I finally have just a clear path ahead, a clear mission, a clear vision. And I'm currently doing the Dare to Lead program so that I can work on my skills as a leader, because I think that's also another big part of, if you're going to receive more, then you need to actually be able to hold people around you
Yeah.
and be willing to give up the idea that you can do everything yourself, which
Yeah.
for me is a huge money block. It's like, I can just do this on my own, do this on my own, do this on my own. And so I'm very willing to ask for support with my personal development, but more reluctant when it comes to my business. And so that's like my next level. It's like, okay, you can only get so far by working with a small number of people. Like, if you have this big vision, you've got to call in more people, and not be afraid of spending that money either. So yeah, but I just feel, going back to what you shared earlier, just very grounded, and it's like, when fear comes up, I can dispel it a lot easier. I can just, okay, that's not the reality that I'm living in. And I can come back to my power and my purpose, and that wealth frequency that you talk about all the time. It's something that I feel like I'm constantly living in my future self, and then my future self becomes my present self, and then we just do it all over again.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that when he said, like, I'm living the version of myself I was visioning in 5 years ago, and I'd say the same. But then there's another version of yourself, like, right? It's like, oh, there's a whole other thing opening up, right? And this is why I think we have to just relax into the now, because if we're trying to get there, right, we're never going to be landing into just, let's just take a minute and breathe. And can we take a minute to just appreciate where you are now, how beautiful it is, and it's absolutely stunning to hold space for you, and celebrate you, and all that you're letting go of and all that you're welcoming in. It's beautiful and your work's stunning. So I so appreciate it. Is there any other words of wisdom that you would like to share for anyone who's tuning in to diving in a little bit deeper? Is there anything else you think would be worth mentioning or saying?
Just that if you feel that same energetic nudge, to join Lara in the mastermind, then just see what it feels like to lean into that and say yes to yourself, and watch what happens next with excited curiosity, because it's a lot of fun.
It is a lot of fun. Linda, thank you so much for coming and sharing you know, all of you with us, and that's part of it, isn't it? You've really been like, I'm just going to be me now, full blown me. Here we go, and it seems to be working wonders.
Yeah,
Thanks so much for taking your precious time with us. And if anyone wants to
my
reach out
pleasure.
to Jolinda, she's in the Facebook group, and her work's amazing. So go check her out. All right, thank you, darling. So much love.